Streets and Scholars, Alex Alonso and FG. We're here bringing you another banger. What's been going on in the football world, man?
Oh man, they've been cracking in the football world. Playoffs started, man. You know the Cowboys beat Tom Brady yesterday. 49ers, they won. You know it's getting down to the nitty gritty right now.
I know, man. Everybody's getting excited, man.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick, man. We spoke about high power last week in terms of Tory Lanez, and one of my boys tapped in with me, Isaac Pedroza from Lomas, formerly from Lomas.
And when you say high power, you're talking about a high power in the Los Angeles County jail.
Correct. You know, it's a special place where they put certain people, and he tapped in with me, and we had a long conversation about high power because he was in there for at least 5 years fighting a hot one. So I decided let's give him a quick call and see if he could tell us what Tory Lanez is actually going through, since he spent 5 years in that place. So let me see if we can get him on the phone real quick.
Well, we ain't gonna make it specifically about Tory, but just, you know, a lot of celebrities and a lot of people, famous people, and high power cases go up there. So
yeah, I mean, we mentioned Robert Downey, Suge was in high power, and I know bro is busy. Let's see if he taps in with us. Who else was in high power? Todd Bridges, Lenny Dykstra, and there's just a whole bunch of gangsters too.
No doubt.
So let's see.
Is not available.
Okay, he might have had to go back to work because he's got a busy schedule. But yeah, I mean, we were talking about it because of Tory Lanez and pretty much. But you know who didn't go to high power? Trey D. When Trey D caught that case back in the day.
Oh, no doubt.
He didn't go to high power. Oh, I think he's tapping back in with us. Isaac.
Yes, sir.
You're on Streets and Scholars with Alex Alonso and FG.
What up, Alex? What up, FG?
Hey, what's going on with you, homie? How you doing today?
Good, bro. Good, man.
That's what's up.
Good to be on with you guys.
I know you don't, you probably don't have a lot of time, but last week we talked about Tory Lanez going into county jail and spending their time in high power. And considering you spent so much time in there on the last time you was in there, 5 years, I thought maybe you can give the Streets and Scholars listeners a little bit of understanding of what high power really is like.
Yeah, so there was, and we're talking about 10 years back, so I don't know how it is now, but back then, they had 1750, which was downstairs. That was like the main high power. And then they had the 3000 floor, which was considered kind of like junior high power. And then within 1750, they had one row, which was F row. F row was like where they had all the celebrities, Suge Knight, Conrad Murray, the Grim Sleeper. So I don't know where they would put Tory Lanez. I really don't know so much about him, but if he's a celebrity, that would probably be a spot for him. But they could put him anywhere. They have a place, 2904, is where they had a Drakeio. And I was there also. I was in 2904. I was in 1750. I've been in 3000 floors. I've been all over that place. But so yeah, that's pretty much how it's set up.
Now, Draco, the rapper that recently got killed on stage, what was he doing in high power? Because I never considered Draco a celebrity.
You know what? I heard the interviews, but I don't remember exactly. I think he said they snatched him up because, man, I forgot. There was a reason they had snatched him up, and he said that he was going through it, and then they finally let him out. But you know what? I can't really tell you the specific reason.
Hey, now, bro, this FG. Hey, don't they keep some of the high power PCs up there though? Also,
where at? And yeah, okay. So, quick story, real quick. So right before I came home, they snatched me up in 1750, bro. They kidnapped me. The OSS.
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah, they said my life was in danger. They made up all kinds of stuff, right? And they tried to flip me, and they kept me over there in Lost Hills in a place I don't even know where it's at, like Lost Hills, like somewhere past the San Fernando Valley in a substation. And they try to break me, bro. They try to every day they would come to my cell and they try to turn me like on my co-defendant, and you know, and I just kept telling them, man, you know, you're talking to the wrong dude, you know, and,
Right,
and
no doubt.
eventually they took me back to where I was at, but you know, I told them I you know that I'm gonna sign a waiver, and the first day they didn't want to do it, you know, I had no choice, you know, but when they brought me back, instead of taking me to 1750, they took me to 2904,
Mm-hmm.
and in 2904. It wasn't considered PC. It was just a high power spot, right? But they only had PCs in there. They were only housing PCs in there at the time. Like, it just so happened that whoever was housed there, they were PC, but it wasn't considered like PC at the time. I don't know how it is now.
Right.
But they threw me in there, and I was like, what? So I had to fight my way back to get down to 1750. You know, but yeah, I think eventually they probably made that like a PC role, or probably where they had some high power people with, you know.
Okay, yeah. Now are they single man cells over there in 1750?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and yeah, all of it, all high power single man cells.
Right,
3,000 floor, 1750. Well, the other one, 2904. 2904 is the only one that had like a phone where you could roll it right in front of the cell, and you could be on that phone all night.
Because I even remember back in the day when they changed when they took out the Crip and Blood module from the county jail. I know they shot the Bloods. We was in 21, 23, man. And you know, those one man cells down there, man. It was rocking and rolling down there on that 2000 floor.
Bro, I was there. I was telling Alex, I was there when they broke up the Blood module, and all the Bloods came. They landed right above. We were in the hole, and they all walked up. Like a pool rider from
yeah, I know Pool Rider.
Little Pool Rider. Sad Boy from Rolling 20 Bloods, a bunch of dudes from Crenshaw Mafia.
Yeah, I was in there then, homie. Yeah, I was in there.
You were there?
We used to holler through the vents and shit. Yeah, I was there. They broke up that module back in the day. Hell yeah, I was there.
Yeah, well, the day they broke it up, they all walked in. They not all. They put like half on above us and half on Charlie Row, I think, on the other side behind us.
Yeah.
And they walked in, bro, and you know, I guess you guys had like songs, like cadences, like
hell yeah.
And they walked in, and they just right when they walked on the tier, they just started like doing a little cadence. It sounded pretty hard, you know, like everybody. We were like, who the hell is that? Like, you know, like we didn't know what the hell was going on.
Now let me not to cut you off, bro, but let me ask you this: did you ever run into any celebrities though?
Yeah, I ran into DMX.
Oh, okay, yeah, hell yeah.
I was on E-roll with my boy Huey from Violent Boys. He's the one that got busted for killing the cop in Burbank.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big case in the early 2000s. Anyhow, me and him were neighbors, and right behind us was Afro, that road where I was telling you where they put celebrities. And they used to bring DMX to the shower. And then Conrad Murray, the dude that got busted for killing Michael Jackson. Lenny Dykstra, the baseball player. That's my boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was on a roll with me for a long time, and I kicked it with him actually a couple days ago.
Oh, okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, you said, was you in there with Suge Knight?
Suge Knight, you know what? Yeah, I ended up in I don't even like even saying I was even there, man, because that place was like,
yeah,
you know,
I
had to get out of there, but there was a time limit. Anyhow, I seen him over there. He was in. I used to see Michelle pull up with I don't know who. I don't know if it was Reggie. Right now that I hear him talk, I'm assuming it was him. But he used to go to visit. He was in a different yard, but there was a time where I ran into him, like, you know, walking in there's like a hallway, and you know what I mean. I seen him like, you know, big old dude. What's up, Suge? And he was like, what's up, little homie? You know. And that was it. That was in '97.
Okay. Well, shit, man. I'm glad you at the pad, man. I'm glad you, from what I hear, you did a lot of time, man. So I'm glad to see you still out here, you know, on the bricks, man. You know, doing your thing, man. I salute that.
Yeah, same to you, man. Salute to you, man. I follow you guys. You guys are the only podcast that I hear every episode. You know.
Nah, that's what's up, man. We damn sure appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
I know you got to probably get back to work. I just wanted to ask you real quick, man. You mentioned Grim Sleeper. You mentioned Conrad Murray, you said the guy that killed Michael Jackson. I don't think he killed
the
Michael
guy that got
Jackson.
accused.
I know what you meant, homie. Yeah.
No, my bad.
He didn't kill Michael Jackson.
Hey, I won't never. Yeah, I know he did. I would never even say that, like even if young. But my bad.
I think Michael Jackson killed Michael Jackson.
Man.
Yeah,
but
you're right, man.
The doctor got blamed because he was getting paid $100,000 a month by Michael Jackson.
Hey, how much time did he get?
What did he get? Like 3 years?
Oh, okay.
Conrad Murray. I think he got like something like that, like 3 years, bro.
Oh, okay.
He was there for a minute.
Yeah.
He was there for a minute.
All right.
My wife knows like his wife and everything.
Okay. Hey, well, like we say, man, we really appreciate you tapping in, man, giving us some more clarity on what it's like, because a lot of people kind of wanted to know, a lot of people, live through these podcasts and live through us talking, man. So we appreciate you tapping in.
Yes, sir, man. It was a blessing, man. God bless you guys.
All right, Isaac, I'll let you get back to work. Take care.
Yes, sir.
All righty. That was interesting. The Grim Sleeper. That was a dude that was up out of the A-Trays. I think he lived off of 85th and Western. He was killing black prostitutes up and down Western Avenue for 20 years.
I heard about that, man. Yeah, he was bullshit.
I think his is the first case that they used family DNA to link him, because he didn't have a criminal record.
Right.
But his son caught a case years ago, and they was able to match his son's DNA was a hit. But they knew the son didn't do it.
Right.
It was called familial DNA, family related DNA, and that's how they caught the Grim Sleeper. I'm trying to remember what it is. Lonnie Franklin.
Damn.
Lonnie Franklin was his name, and that kind of like busted the myth that black people don't do serial killing.
And that was dude was out of A-Tray.
Well, he ain't. Yeah, he grew up over there.
I mean, he was out of there.
Yeah, All the A-Trays knew him because he was a mechanic.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So he fixed. He was a mechanic for the police too. For the LAPD.
Yeah.
LAPD mechanic was killing all those people.
That's crazy.
So yeah, they had him on High Power along with Suge Knight. I didn't know DMX was in there. Did you know DMX was in the LA County Jail?
I did, but I didn't know he was in High Power, because I know DMX, he jail. So I didn't know if he was in there with regular motherfuckers or not, because DMX ain't no stranger to the jail system, man.
Yeah, I didn't even know DMX actually stepped foot in the LA County Jail. But yeah, man, it's just a place. I'm glad I'm not up in there, man.
Nah, no doubt, Alex. Like I say, man, the processing is horrible, man. Take you 24, 30 hours just to even get processed, even get to a cell, man. And it was crazy, man. I don't recommend. I know some of these dudes out here committing these crimes, and a lot of dudes haven't even stepped foot in the county jail yet. And when you get in there, bro, some of these people, Alex, are actually the ones that's gonna go for something petty first. I mean, you'll be surprised at how it just steers them away from crime, period. You hit that county jail sometime, man. I seen a lot of people go straight after just being in there a couple weeks, bro, and then got out and never went back.
Yeah, because sometimes one time is enough for somebody.
No doubt. You got to think about when I went, man. At 18 years old, you know what I mean? You had all them, T-Tidy them from 30 Piru, Sugar Bear them from Fruit Town Park. You had old dudes in there, like real killers, you know what I mean? And you come through that, man, I was still in high school, you know what I mean? And you come through there, man, and seasoned vets in there, man, seasoned killers, dudes who've been to the pen, going to the pen since the 70s, and you come up in that, you're not equipped for that at 18 years old, especially if you went to school and you had a family, that shit just mentally different, you know what I mean?
But then there's some people that go back over and over.
No doubt.
I mean, bro that we just got off the phone with, I think he been to prison at least 5, 6, 7 times.
Yeah, no, it happens, man. When you live in that life for some people, it happens. They go back and forth, revolving door. And my whole thing is to be that, because sometimes 2 years ain't enough. You know what I mean? Sometimes 3 years ain't enough. But I hope people learn a lesson before they get that life sentence. I don't want to see them go, period. But before they go get that life sentence or get that 25, 27 years, hey, take them 2s and 3s and learn from them, man, and try to do better.
Yeah, no doubt. Let's move on to this other topic I wanted to talk about. This is an interesting little story from out of Philadelphia. This lady named Julie Hudson, 31, was arrested by the police, wrongfully arrested, I might add, for shoplifting in a store that she ain't never, ever, 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 ever been to before.
Man, that was crazy.
Like, how does that happen?
Well, the thing about it, Alice, was this. You know,
The answer is because she black.
hey,
That will not happen to a white person, but go ahead.
you know what? This is the thing about it also, though. Had she been in the same city where it happened, or was down the street from the store that it happened, or, you know, was around the corner or in the next town from it happened, the shoplifting shit happened in another state that she hadn't even been in. Bro, that blew me away when I heard that shit.
No, I got a little clip. Let me cue this up, but this is kind of bizarre. Let's
She's a PhD student who stays out of trouble and has never...
Let me rewind that so we get that PhD student part in.
The innocent woman's family says she's a PhD student who stays out of trouble and has never even been to Texas. Now, officials here at the Webster Police Department are calling the warrant issued for her arrest an unfortunate mistake.
It's very bizarre, and when our family learned of it, we was like, no way, Julie would never.
Julie Janine Hudson has been sitting in jail in Philadelphia since Wednesday.
She's on 5 medications. Till this day, Julie still have not received her medication.
The 31-year-old PhD student ended up behind bars after going to the police department there to see why a warrant for her arrest was filed in Texas, which was preventing her from getting a job.
Julie went down to our local police department in Philadelphia thinking, I'll get to the bottom of it in person. Mm-hmm. And when she went there, of course, if you have a warrant out for your arrest, they have to arrest you.
Julie's sister, Sharon Hudson, says after much digging, she learned that Julie was mistakenly linked to a shoplifting and assault incident at this Webster Academy Sports and Outdoors back in May.
We were able to detain one of the people who matched one of the suspects in the video, and we brought her back and she agreed to an interview. And during the interview, she identified the other person as her sister by the name of Julie Hudson.
Assistant Chief of the Webster Police Department, Jeremy Edge, says this is a surveillance photo of the suspect, who they believed looks similar to social media images found of Julie Hudson in Philadelphia, convincing them she was the culprit.
Did look to multiple different people, not just within our agency, but also with the district attorney's office.
After proving this Julie Hudson was at work in Pennsylvania during the time of the crime in Texas, Webster police had the charges dropped. But Julie's family, now contemplating legal action against the department, wants more than that.
We want to shed light on the situation, whether that be education for the department, whether that means more training.
At last check, Julie Hudson was still behind bars waiting to be released. Police say they are sorry this happened and are working on ways to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Man.
They also say
this is crazy because they extradited her from Pennsylvania to Texas for something she ain't never done. And that's just completely unacceptable.
No doubt. Did they extradite her? I don't know. I thought she was at the Pennsylvania jail for 5 days.
Oh, maybe they kept her in the.
But they talked to the police in Texas, man. And listen, somebody in Texas agreed to snitch on then she was snitching on her sister per se.
Yeah.
With the same name as this young lady. Now the whole thing about it is, how could you put an arrest warrant out with no evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, no real hard evidence, none whatsoever? Because she was a dark-skinned lady on a camera, man, that description could have fit a million females. You know what I mean? And that's what's so sad about it. You took a picture off a surveillance video, said that this looks like the lady
from social media,
and put a warrant out for arrest in another state.
Yeah, it's bizarre. No, they didn't extradite her, but she came close to getting to Texas. But so basically, this is a mistake based on a common name, Julie Hudson. But I mean, you got a very common name.
I do.
And has that ever happened to you, where they actually made a mistake on the wrong Frank?
No, only with my son.
Okay.
You know,
because you got a junior.
Yeah, only with my son.
No, your son is the third or a junior?
I'm a junior.
You're junior, so your son is the third.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but the thing about it wasn't a criminal complaint, you know what I mean? But somebody was suing him. And, man, they swore it was me. I mean, the lady argued me up and down, that there was, hold on. But it can't happen because he had a car one time and it ended up on, I checked my credit one time and this car is on my credit. You know what I mean? I had to get that cleared up. So I do understand, but this wasn't a criminal situation. For a criminal situation, Alex, it seemed like you should have more evidence to even put a warrant out for the arrest for somebody. Listen, man, this lady was living her life trying to go get a job. couldn't get the job because her background was faulty. She knew that wasn't the case. You know what I mean? And you go get it checked out and they arrest you, like with no hold on. I'm coming to y'all. So, you're not going to even at least just listen to my story. And before you arrest me, do the due diligence that, like I told you, I've never been to Texas. Only evidence you have is a picture on social media. Yeah. Bro, both departments is wrong for that. You know what I mean?
Well, it took them 6 days. They released her. She was in custody from January 5th to January 11th. It shouldn't take 6 days to realize this is the wrong Julie Hudson at all.
Man, it don't take 6 days to get truth from here to, Afghanistan, man. You going to let this lady sit in there for that? Like that with no evidence, though. See, my whole thing is no clear evidence. Just because another department in another state, I'm coming to you trying to clear up what's going on. You don't even take the time to say, well, let's let's figure this out. Let's, they didn't.
Well, do you think it's worth a lawsuit? I don't know what kind of damages. I mean, being in jail for a week creates damages to a certain extent.
Yeah, it do.
But at what amount you think? It can't be no crazy like $1 million lawsuit.
Man, I think she deserves $1 million. Man.
For real?
The only thing about it is this. Listen, bro, you took an innocent person who's never been in trouble a day in their life. Trying to do better in life, and you take them off the street. Alex, not to mention she was on medications that she didn't get while she was in jail, probably because the jail didn't even have them to provide her. You know what I mean? And y'all did this at a mistake, and so what it was going to take for her to go into a seizure because she didn't have her medicine, or have a stroke or something because she didn't have her medicine, and damn near die before you issue us a warrant. Apology ain't good enough. I mean, issue us some money or something. It ain't good enough, bro. You know what I mean? I believe for her. If it was me, somebody, or if it was somebody who, a ex-criminal or something, hey, I get it, man. You fit the description. You just kind of, I understand a little bit more. But an innocent person like this, bro, I believe, man, she should get rewarded, bro.
Yeah, she should definitely
at least $100,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say somewhere around 100,000, between 50 and 100,000. Definitely get Benjamin Crump on this. And what's really interesting is that no mention of how race played a role in this news piece that we just listened to. And there's no doubt in my mind, race had to play a role.
No doubt. I mean, like you say, bro, if this was a white woman, Asian woman, went down there with the same situation, they would have let her explain her situation. Probably did more due diligence to make sure this was her. You know what I mean? And she probably wouldn't have been arrested. She probably would have been. They could have looked at that. You could look at certain people, history as far as where they live at. You've been in the same house, you've been on the same job, you're not going nowhere. Hey, bro, I'm a student at such and such. I've been there for 4 years. You know what I mean? I graduated from there. Now I go here. It's like they could have did more homework before you just disrupted this person's life,
I mean, yeah. I mean, this is what leads to people going to prison and doing time for crimes they never even committed. I mean, they could have pursued it and turned this into a big case. If they would have sent her to Texas and Texas had her, that's a wrap.
Man, she'd have been on the yard by now before they figured it out.
But it's fortunate that for her, she had never been to Texas before, and it's just ridiculous. Because birthdays is an easy way to distinguish between one Julie Hudson and another Julie Hudson. You said that the sister ratted her out, right?
Right.
Okay, so they know who she is. They could pull up her DMV in Webster, Texas, get her birthday, get her information, and just call Philly. Hey, what's the birthday on that Julie Hudson?
Exactly. That's what I mean
Boom.
by due diligence.
That takes an hour, right?
They wasn't doing that. They didn't care, bro.
Yeah. Well, that's bizarre, and thankfully for Julie Hudson, she is now out of the Philadelphia jail. And we expect a lawsuit.
No doubt.
All right. Hey, man, Dr. Dre is suing, or already sued, a congresswoman, Representative Majorie Taylor Greene. I know most of y'all probably haven't heard of this lady, and that's good because she is really not one of the nicer politicians out there. But Majorie Taylor Greene was being sued by Dr. Dre this week because she's using his music, Still Dre, for her, I guess, campaigning, all her political stuff. I guess she don't like black people, but she likes the music. She likes rap music.
That's like a lot of them. But you got to realize this, though. An artist can sue you for using his music without it being authorized. In her situation, he felt that, he didn't want her using it for what she was using it for. He probably went back and did some homework on what kind of politician she is, what she's voted on, things in the past. You know what I mean? If she was even for the black culture in any kind of way. And if he found out she wasn't, why let her use my music for free?
Yeah, and she had a video on her Twitter page, which she has since deleted. And it looks like she is going to bow down and cooperate, and because she don't want no piece of Dre's lawyers.
No doubt. He probably got some ferocious ones too, man.
It says here that lawyers for Dr. Dre, whose legal name is Andre Young, accused Greene of wrongfully exploiting this work through the various social media outlets to promote your divisive and hateful political agenda. I'm glad he did his research on this politician.
That's what I say. Yeah, he probably checked it out, man, and she wasn't right, man. So,
hey, you know what's crazy? If it would have been let's say you was the politician, and he was like, "Oh, FG used my music," oh, no problem.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I mean? That's why I say he get to choose. But if you go do the homework, because so many times we don't go do the homework. We don't go check out a person's whole, in politics. We don't go check out some of the things they done voted on in the past and some of the things that they pushing down the pipeline. And when you go do it, sometimes we'll be surprised at what we find out. Even some of the people we like in politics, if you really go do some of the homework, you may find out that it's something that, you really not, for, So I'm glad he checked it out, man, and put a stop to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a link in the show notes to this episode of Streets and Scholars. It's an article from BuzzFeed News that breaks down this whole case. In a letter that Dre wrote, he asked Majorie Taylor of I forget what state she's from. She asked Majorie Taylor Greene to cease and desist from any further unauthorized use of our music. We're writing because we think an actual lawmaker should be making laws, not breaking laws, especially those embodied in the Constitution by the founding fathers. So, man, they kind of went in on her, huh?
They did, yeah.
I was a little surprised. Dre getting a little, he's kind of like poking the bear in the politics right now.
Hey, man, shit, sometimes it got to be done.
Yeah, I've been listening to this woman for a minute. I really haven't... She's only been on the scene for maybe 2 years since she's got elected, but she certainly created a name for herself for being, one, a Trump supporter, two, possibly racist. At least she said some racist things, and three, being anti-black. I think those are all pretty accurate based on what other people have been saying about her. So there's no doubt. I'm glad Dre jumped all over this and got her from using his music.
Well, at the end of the day, Alex, for me, she struck out on two of them real heavy. I don't care who she's supporting and her political views, but when you get to talk about the racist party, you get to talk about anti-black, we got to pay attention to those things like real clear, And there could be some people out there, like I said, that supported her because she did the song and dance in their town, when she come through the campaign. But like you say, man, she ain't for us.
Nah, she's not. And she was, I believe she was elected back in 2019 or 2020. So congratulations to Dr. Dre for putting this politician in her place. I hope that now he don't get some unwarranted investigations on his life now because, these Congress people, they got power.
No doubt. And but at the same time, man, I think, she got to deal with them lawyers. And he got enough money to do it. So she may just leave it alone.
Okay, for sure. Let's tap in. I wanted to tap in with. Just wanted to mention that Meek Mill, he got a pardon from the state of Pennsylvania. He caught a case years ago. I saw this interesting documentary on Meek Mill. He took like a joint. We call it joint suspended sentence here in L.A. I don't know what they call it in Philly. But, once you take a joint suspended sentence and you do one thing wrong,
no doubt,
you screwed.
Yeah.
Have you ever been presented with a joint suspended? And yeah,
I took it and violated it.
How long was your joint suspended?
3 years.
Okay, that ain't too bad.
No, that wasn't bad at all.
They got 10-year joint suspended sentences.
It's hard for me to take that. I heard that. I know one of my homies took it, and he never told us he took it. We found out like 15 years later that we was wondering why he had got all, super cool and, and he had that 10-year joint, man. And it'd have been hard for me to take that, man. That's hard to walk.
Well, I think Meek Mill took in the documentary, he took something like a 10-year joint suspended, and every time this one particular cop saw him on the street, he'd violate him. So Meek Mill ended up doing all this time, not for a crime,
right,
but for the violations that were being trumped up by the police officer.
No doubt.
So I guess the governor of Pennsylvania looked into it. I guess the Netflix documentary helped out, and bro got a pardon.
No, that's what's up, though, man. I mean, you know what? Especially, you know, from what I hear, Meek Mill been doing some good over there on the East Coast. You know, he been trying to, you know, get it together. You know, feed some children, feed some families. You know, I heard a few things about him over there that, hey, man, if he doing some good, man, in a situation like that, why not?
Yeah, for sure. So, but 3 years ain't a bad joint suspended sentence to take. How come you couldn't get beyond that 3 year period before you violated it?
Oh, I was in the streets, man, and I actually, like I say, I can't even say I tried, bro. You know what I mean? I was young, 19, 18, and it just didn't work out, man.
Yeah, I think my boy Conejo from Harpies, I think he took like a 15-year joint suspended sentence. Yeah.
Well, it's two ways to look at it, though. You know, if you fighting a hell of a case, man, and they come with something like that, you know, and the deal is 20 or the deal is 9, but we'll give you this 15-year joint. You either come home today, man, or go do this 8, you know, or go do this 9. It's hard to not go home today. You feel me? Because we looking at right now. So I could go to jail today for 8, or I could go home for 9 and go home today and try my hand. Some people really can get out the way, go get them a female, get them a job, and just get out the way. You know what I mean? It's possible, Alex. You know, some people can't.
Yeah, man. You got to have the discipline, basically.
Yeah.
And you got to know that you're not going to get caught up in nothing again.
No doubt.
And I know my boy Conejo, he's a rapper, and I know that he's strictly focusing on his career, on his music. He has no intention. And this was after he was on the run for the case. I think he was on the run for 16 years. So 16, 17 years they caught him. So I believe and I trust that he's on a different path now. You know, this was 20 years ago. He was living a different life.
No doubt.
So now as a mature man, 15-year joint suspended sentence probably ain't nothing.
Yeah. I mean, you know, if you don't, listen, you don't have to go to jail. You know, just, it's plain and simple. It ain't hard to stay out, Alex. You know, it's just you got to do it. So, but it's easy to go. So you got to not have yourself in a certain situations around certain people. I mean, you really got to, you know, just focus on you and your family and do what you got to do. But, you know, hey, that's a long joint, 15 years. Now,
Meek Mill was arrested in 2008 on drugs and gun charges, and he was still dealing with that case in 2017, still taking violations in 2017. So at some point, shouldn't a dope case been expired?
Well, you know, that's part of the system. That's a part of the working wheel. That's the part of how they make sure that you keep on coming back. That's the reason they give people probation. You know what I mean? Or give people probation after they sentence. You know what I mean? It's a way that the police, if they pull up on you, man, you got one joint, man, you got one this. Okay, we taking you down. You going to get the violation, man. You know, it may not be long because all the time when you violate, they don't always give you all the time. You know what I mean? They might just give you 1 year based on because it was petty and they know it was, but they just going to give you some. Bro, these years off your life that you using just because a cop didn't like you or didn't feel you should be on the streets, or, you know, you really were just out there in certain areas you shouldn't have been in, you know. So definitely a crazy situation.
You know, that's how Harry O got out of prison on a pardon.
Is that right?
But because this was a federal case, pardon had to come from the president.
Pardon had to come from the president. My homeboy Greedy from San Bernardino, I did on FG Unleashed. I sit down and talk to him about a few topics. Actually showed his presidential pardon from Obama. He got his just in 2020. Greedy been home.
It had to be before 2016, right? Because Obama was in office from 2008 to 2016.
Was it 16? Has it been that long? Yeah, he got his from Obama. And I brought the actual letter. I got it on my phone. Took a picture of it. The envelope from the presidency and everything.
So he caught a federal case back in the day?
He was in the feds with me.
Oh, okay.
He was in the feds with me. I came home.
So how did he get on Obama's radar to get the pardon?
Man, I want you go to FG Unleashed, check out the video. I got the whole video there. But he said he didn't. I said, did you fill out any extra form? He said, I didn't do nothing, bro. He fell into. He said an attorney got at him and said, hey man, we might can get you to. He like. Yeah, okay.
So he wasn't even looking for it.
He wasn't even looking for it, yeah.
Was he already released or he was in custody
No,
still?
he probably would have just been getting out. He had about 15, 16 years.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I got, like I said, I got the photos of the letter from the president, from the White House, the envelope. And
so when did you interview Greedy?
This was on FG Unleashed a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
I might have missed that one.
Yeah, a few months ago. Yeah, we on there out of San Bernardino. And but I was happy for him to come home. I didn't. He brought his paperwork like we was in jail,
He still got that.
He brought his paperwork, and I'm like, and I heard the story, I heard what he said, but until I seen that presidential seal, till I read this letter, till I seen this envelope from the White House, it's like I re-looked. I didn't think he was bullshitting, but I just looked at him like, damn, bro, you know what I mean? And he was like, yeah, and he talked big shit about it too. He think Obama, he love him for that, but I would too, shit.
So I always thought you had to pay money to get a pardon or be a political donor to the campaign, like to be donating to Obama's campaign or something. But he just got it.
Yeah, no doubt. And, like I said, I touched on it, but if you ever want to holler at him again, Alex, to get the full story, it's definitely no problem for me to,
Yeah, for sure. I remember when
because he's the only person I know personally that got one, that I know personally.
Yeah.
I don't know nobody else that actually got one. I've heard of people, but like you said, I was like you. I thought you had to do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is he from your section over there on the east side?
No, he's from San Bernardino.
Oh,
okay. He's blood out of San Bernardino, yeah.
Now, I remember when Freeway Ricky Ross was in prison, he reached out to me one day and he wrote this letter. He said, hey, can you figure out how to get me a pardon?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like saying to myself, I have no idea
how to begin.
Yeah, because you got to get to the president.
Got to get
to the president. And at that time, George Bush was the president. When, George Bush was the president. This was around 2005. So I had no clue.
No doubt, yeah.
But I guess it's possible if you figure out the steps, right? There's got to be some process you got to go through.
No doubt, but I think if you, like you say, in certain situations, some celebrities can get to, like Trump. I heard Trump pardoned a few guys, you know what I mean? Black dudes, and others, but it probably was some celebrities that was able to be somewhere Trump was at and threw something in his ear or threw something to a close staffer, and to get the word out, look, man, we trying to rally for this guy right here, and somebody has to draw up a case that says why. It has to be I'm sure some kind of review board or something before it even gets to his desk. So, and that's any president. So
now everyone I know that either got a pardon or was trying to get a pardon, they had to do the work. They had to put out the effort. They had to do the outreach. They had to know somebody.
Well, let me ask you this.
It just fell on his lap.
What's the difference between clemency and pardon?
Pardon, one of them you get, your whole case is reversed. Mm-hmm. Let me see. Let me look this up because it's an important distinction between a clemency and a pardon. But a pardon, you get it released on both of these, I believe. Let's pull that up because that's a great question. Clemency versus pardon. Oh man, did my internet just go down?
He got it. Let me read it. And if you blow this up, this is from the United States Department of Justice, right? It says, I hereby certify that the attached document is true and accurate copy of the warrant signed by President Barack Obama May 5th, 2016, granting executive clemency to Jerome Lee Menifee. So it was 16 and it was a clemency. So got the White House letterhead, got the official White House seal, and from the Department of Justice. So it was a clemency.
Okay, a clemency is the process by which a governor, president may reduce a defendant's sentence or grant a pardon. So there is some overlap between the meaning of clemency and pardon.
Okay.
But regardless of what it is, you still have to
No doubt. No
do the
doubt,
outreach.
No doubt.
The way you saying it, he just happened to come up.
Yeah, he say somebody reached out to him like an attorney and he got it in.
Wow, that's interesting. I definitely love to tap in with him because these stories are really interesting and they need to definitely be told. But clemency doesn't take away the guilt for the crime. Let's see. Clemency is defined as leniency granted for a crime. It does not mean that the crime gets overlooked or forgotten.
So a pardon though may erase the whole crime.
I believe.
I'm not sure, but I think a pardon most of the time erases the whole conviction, don't it?
Yeah, when you get pardoned, that crime doesn't affect you in terms of employment. Let's see here. A pardon is a government decision to allow a person to be relieved of some or all the legal consequences resulting from a criminal conviction. So that's the highest level.
Yeah, that's why I said go back and double check. Yeah, you got the clemency.
So the pardon is what you really want to get.
No doubt.
But if you're in jail, the clemency is going to come out good too. Right?
No doubt, especially when you're guilty. Shit.
Yeah, man. Oh man, I missed that one. But yeah, Meek Mill got pardoned by I think this name is Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania. So shout out to the Governor Wolf there. And Governor Tom Wolf, he issued 369 pardons this week. So
damn,
Meek Mill is probably the most high profile of those 369. But man, that's kind of good to know that the governor of the big state of Pennsylvania looked out for 369 folks.
No doubt, man. You know, sometimes, man, people deserve a second chance, man. And that's the one thing about, American system that, sometimes people believe in you, man, and they give you another shot. Now the thing I say that when people do, even just like the homie, man, you got a second chance, man. You came home 5, 6, 7 years earlier than you should have, and what he did was he went and got him a job, man. He's doing so good right now, got his own pad. He, driving cool car. I mean, he doing good, bro. So those are the things I like to see. Once you do get that, that pardon, that clemency, that second chance, man, get back out here and make it count.
Definitely, man. Congratulations to the homeboy from San Bernardino and to Meek Mill, because now Meek Mill don't have that. In Meek Mill's case, the conviction doesn't impact him at all now.
Right, we ain't got nothing hanging over his head though either, man, so that's cool.
And that might have impacted him in his ability to travel to different states and different countries to perform, to make money. I'm sure there's a reason why he got this pardon, is to probably help him out his career-wise.
No doubt. He's probably helping the city out as well as far as doing things in the city, even if it's doing concerts and donating the money to good causes, you know what I mean? Paying for kids overdue after school, overdue lunch bills that they can't afford to pay, It's a lot of things these guys do, Alice, that we don't even know about because they don't do it just the flow show, Sometimes they do it, man, because they got the opportunity to and they can,
Yeah, I remember hearing Mark Wahlberg. What was his old rap name? Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Remember Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch?
Yeah.
Well, Mark Wahlberg was trying to get a pardon, or at least, I think he was trying to get a pardon for an old case, even though he's free.
Right.
This dude did some dirt when he was young.
Yeah, no doubt.
And because of his convictions, he can't be around, I think, kids or minors or things like that. So he wanted to get that overturned so that he could work with the youth. But I'm not sure the status of it. But that would be one reason why someone who's not incarcerated would seek out a pardon, because you want to have access to do things that you can't do with that conviction.
No doubt.
He beat up an Asian dude real bad. And this was during his racist years, his racist days. A lot of people say Marky Mark changed, or Mark Wahlberg changed, and I hope he did. I hope he has changed. But he's from Boston. It's some rough white boys from Boston, man.
No doubt, it definitely is. You know what I mean? It definitely, a lot of racism going on up there, but at the same time, man, there's some good folks up there though too.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the status of his pardon is. But when Freeway Ricky Ross was asking me to do it, I was completely lost. I was like, I have no line on President Bill Clinton. I don't know how to even start the process.
Right.
But now hearing that Meek Mill got it and hearing your boy got clemency, it lets us know there is a process, and it's probably, you just got to do your homework and figure out who to call and who to talk to and the paper to fill out and things of that sort.
No doubt. You know, and like you said, take some due diligence, take you to study and figure out who the shaker and movers in that field is. But I believe it's definitely doable. Yeah,
Harry O would still be in prison right now if he didn't get pardoned by President Trump.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I mean? He was, yeah.
All right, hey, I want to tap in with this final story, man. This story is crazy, man. And oh man, I feel bad for this brother, but at the same time, hey, when you're doing the crime, anything can happen to you, right?
Well, that's about crime. You know what I mean? No, that's about crime, man. Sometimes, you go in there, it don't always work out like you want it to, Alex.
Yeah, and we often want to judge people who are out there robbing, stealing, thugging, but we also don't know what his line of life was. We don't know where he came from. We don't know what his conditions are. But I'm talking about a brother named Eric Eugene Washington. Now, Eric Eugene Washington, he decided that he was going to run up in a restaurant and rob all the patrons there that were having lunch or dinner or breakfast. I don't know what time of the day it was. But there was a bro, well, not a bro, it was a white guy in there that was strapped.
No doubt.
And this guy, and like many of us who sometimes have our straps on us, we're prepared to react to situations like this. And this white guy actually, he made Eric Eugene Washington's robbery his last robbery.
No doubt. He came to the restaurant, man. He robbed everybody in there, including the guy who shot him. After he robbed everybody, he walked out, and guy had a gun, man, and took it to him.
Yeah, man. It's an unfortunate situation, and there's a video clip of this, and I'm gonna put a link to the video clip of what happened inside that restaurant. But you can see that even the guy that shot him, and we don't know who he is because he left.
He got on.
He left.
Hey, not to mention, did he just leave? He didn't just leave, though. He got everybody money back the dude robbed him for. Gave everybody their money and their shit back before he left. You know what I mean? And they don't have an ID on him. They seen his truck in the parking lot. They don't have a license plate. They would like for him to come in and discuss it, but the way the news is making it sound and the way that attorneys that's, just checking the case out, hey, man, they don't think he'll get convicted.
Nah, and this is out of Texas also. So, Texas is one of those very pro-gun states. It's one of those states that pretty much, lives for stuff like this,
Not to mention the dude was a white guy who shot him. So, you know what I mean? That's going to play a part in it. You're going to have an all-white jury probably if you go to trial. Not just, like I say, not just... trying to be funny or nothing like that, but that's just how it is sometimes.
All right, I'm going to play this clip from the news out there in Texas on this story of Eric Eugene Washington, who was attempting to rob this restaurant. Here he goes.
I'm Caroline Collins with this week's Crime Files. And this week, it's all about a taqueria robbery that has the nation talking. The video is insane to watch, but the story of what happened next, even more shocking. So it all starts with a masked man with a gun and ends with an armed customer jumping into action. As the case has unfolded, we found out a lot about all the people involved, even hearing from the mom of the robber as she talks about the life he lived. We start our days of coverage with Fox 26's Matthew Seedorf.
It's back to work now for everyone in this restaurant, but we're now learning more about the terrifying night for everyone inside. Dramatic moments inside a Houston restaurant. We've frozen the graphic video as a customer fires 8 shots and then one more, killing a would-be robber.
Thank God no one else was hurt.
A man wearing a mask and gloves inside the taqueria around 11:30 Thursday night, pointing what looks like a gun at customers while demanding money. As some hide and throw cash, this man takes action just as the robber heads to the door, still with his gun drawn.
Picked up the money, turned around and left, and that's when the customer got up and shot him.
The shooter angry, realizing the robber's gun is plastic. Returning the stolen money to customers, taking a sip of his drink, and leaving before police arrive.
He needs to call HPD homicide and come explain exactly what occurred and his side of the story.
Authorities now wanting to speak with this man seen getting into an old pickup truck, someone the restaurant owner is calling a hero.
Just thankful for the man who helped me, and I just want him to take care of himself.
Okay, man, there's no way that this guy's going to prison for killing this robber, huh?
No doubt, but at the same time, Alex, you can't just be robbing motherfuckers either, man. I mean, somebody gonna do something sometimes, you know. It's two ways I look at it. You know, you went in there, bro, with a fake gun, man. You know, you robbed people, you know, but dude shot him 9 times.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shots, man. I don't think it took 9 bullets to get him down, you know, and subdue him, but
yeah, but if you think this guy got a real gun in his hand and you shoot him 2 times, he could still turn around and bust.
No doubt. That's why I say you're gonna hit him 4, 5 times. You gonna, I mean, if you look and you're gonna see what the actions he take. But I get it. But at the same time, man, I'm looking at it like this for the people out there that is robbing. You know, because just because we don't do it, that don't mean people not. You know, that's what I need our listeners to understand. Just because we not into something don't mean that life's not going on out there. So for the people that is robbing out there, bro, you know, it ain't always just a cakewalk. You know, sometimes you're going to run into some resistance, you know, and this dude ran into some resistance, lost his life, you know, paid the ultimate price. And I know people going, you know, bash me for this one. I don't care, but he lost his life for some crumbs, man.
Yeah.
Went in there for some crumbs, Alex, you know, and you didn't go to no high power robbery. I don't think none of it's worth your life, but you know, man, what are you going to get out of a Waffle House, out of a Denny's, out of a, you know, IHOP? What is you going to get, bro? You know, so people don't even carry cash like that on them no more. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
and you lost your life behind it, man. Like I said, we don't know the details of his life, you know, but it's tragic that, you know, he has life no more.
Yeah, man. Eric Eugene Washington was 30 years old. This happened in the great city of Houston. And it's just tragic. Now, the mom of Eric Eugene Washington, she's pissed. She said what you kind of said. Why did the man have to shoot my son 9 times? Just shoot him a couple times and put him down. But I don't think that's really realistic. I mean, if you have a gun in your hand, at that point, anything goes.
No doubt, and I would have dumped on him too. I can't say I wouldn't have, but this the thing. This the situation. I'm in California as well. It's a no-win situation in California when you shoot a man in the back. You know, unfortunately, you know, the way these laws are set up in California, man, it's almost like it's more laws for the criminal than it is for the, you know, the man that's not one. You know, because if somebody break into your house and you wake up and they're in your house, if they running out and you shoot them in the back, bro, they gonna hold you accountable for that. You know, so I can't protect my home. Oh no, he was running out. You got to shoot him in the chest. He got to be trying to harm you in order for you to shoot him. That's some bullshit. You know what I mean? As long as y'all should be able to prove that my door was kicked in or my window was broken and they got in, it should be enough for me to knock him down in my house. You know, so but that's Texas. You know, Texas don't have them same kind of laws. Texas have self-defense laws that, you know, and this man definitely could fall under the self-defense category, you know, but like I said, just tragic that this dude had to lose his life over a fake gun and a petty robbery.
Yeah, I think that if you did this in California exactly the same way, I don't think you'll get charged.
Shit.
I know that some of the prosecutors here are a little bit more aggressive when it comes to gun violence. But I mean, your argument is this guy had a gun. This guy was robbing people. I was here with my family. I tried to pull it out earlier when he first walked in, but then he turned around and I waited till an opportunity to pull it out. And the best time to pull it out is when his back was facing me. And I had to save my life, whoever was with him in that booth, and the patrons in the restaurant. How are you going to lose that argument?
All day long, Alex, because what they're going to say, bro, is he was fleeing the situation, you know. So
he was fleeing the situation, but he could have went out in the parking lot and robbed more people.
No, he could have, but I'm telling you, man, California, you don't get me wrong, you know case law as well, you know what I mean? But I'm going to sit here and argue with you all night and say that they're going to say that this guy was fleeing a situation. There was no reason for him to be shot in the back. You know, no reason for you to shoot this man. You should have let him go at the robbery and let the police deal with the robbery. Man, that's the bullshit they going to tell us, you know? But then again, it all depends. If you saying, I noticed what you said. You said the exact same situation. It may happen like that in the exact same situation where the shooter is one person or one color and the robber is another one. You know what I mean? Because let's man, and I hate to go race. You know what I mean? But if the robber was white and the shooter was black, you know, I can't say we're down in Texas, but in California, bro, you're gonna have a situation on your hands. Whether you get out of it or not, you're gonna have a situation on your hands, man.
Yeah, I agree. California prosecutors are more aggressive, and I'd love to tap in with maybe a former DA who might want to chime in on this.
Yeah, please do.
I'd love to know, would Jackie Lacey prosecute this man? Would Gil Garcetti prosecute this man? Would John McKinney? John McKinney might possibly be running for a district attorney later this year. Would he prosecute this man? According to FG, all of these LA prosecutors are charging this man,
Charging this man. But if we can get a feedback, any kind, you know, we appreciate that.
Well, the guy that got killed, Eric Eugene Washington, according to records in the state of Texas in 2015, he was convicted of aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, and he was sentenced to 15 years in connection to a shooting death of a business owner, a 62-year-old Hamid Warwick. If this happened in 2015, I don't know, how is he out already?
This is the robber.
Yeah, the robber. Oh, wow. This is the robber had an extensive criminal history.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
He has aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, and he also has he was connected to a shooting death of a guy named Hamid Warwick, 62-year-old. This is according to Fox 26 News out in Houston. This is all preliminary information. So, you know, even though this is coming off of a legitimate news website, they could be wrong. But, you know, the mom is over here lobbying for her son. And the question is it really self-defense? ?
Well, this is the thing about it, man. With you giving me and arming me with that information that you just said.
No, but that information is irrelevant because when you're sitting in that booth, you don't know this guy just got out of prison for armed robbery. You don't know he's connected to a killing. So all of that stuff is just after the fact information we learn.
Well, once you go to trial, it's after the fact. You know, the shooter. You know, for him, once he's getting prosecuted, the prosecution comes after the fact. So with them knowing that this guy have this kind of extensive record and a death was linked to a crime that he committed, they may look at this dude as a person who cleaned up the streets, and they may not convict him. You feel what I mean? So all this certain shit plays a part, you know, in how they judge these prosecutions.
But I think if that was to be tried in a California court, they would rule that information cannot come into the case because it's irrelevant. You know what I mean?
I got what you're saying. It might not come into a case as far as you have a jury trial, but I'm even talking about for them to even say if we're going to prosecute the case or not.
Because if you're the defense attorney for this man, you're going to say, we want to bring up this whole guy's record, right?
No doubt.
Yeah. The prosecution's going to say, Your Honor, this stuff it's inadmissible.
Yeah.
It's inadmissible because this man never met this guy before, didn't know his criminal history. He shot him just because of what was happening in that store.
No, you got a point there. You got a point there, but at the same time, man, you know, hey, look, like you said, if you can get somebody to tap in with their thoughts on how the judicial system might handle this in California, Los Angeles County, hey man, we appreciate that.
It says here that Washington served 7 years in prison, but was released on parole in December.
Oh, he just came.
He just got out. Yeah,
he learned his lesson.
So he's on parole. He was on parole when this whole thing went down.
This is the shit I was just talking about earlier about getting that second chance. You know, getting that chance to, you know, come out and do something different, and he did the total opposite.
And it actually says he got arrested for domestic violence. He was charged with assaulting his common law wife, and he was out on bond for that. So,
yeah, he was gonna get it sooner or later. If
he's active.
With that behavior, he was gonna run into a situation.
Now, if you're the man in that truck, what do? And you're watching this on TV. You're like, oh shit, they got me on TV. What do you do?
Shit, they ain't got my plates, man. Nobody can identify me where I was at by name. I don't know, man. They might just have to find me, bro.
They probably got his name by now.
Well, just the thing about it, when he picked up that dude gun and threw it, his fingerprints can be on that gun. His fingerprints can be, like you said, on a coffee mug, on a plate, on a fork. So by now they probably got his whole name. By now they probably done already been to his little house and everything. But with all that, all he got to say, man, is he was, hey, man, he was scared to come forward, because after even he realized that it was a fake gun, man, you could see he was pissed.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was pissed. So that goes to show that, man, it really kind of goes to show like he has some compassion. Like, damn, I killed the guy with a fake gun.
Yeah.
So that could play a part in his defense, But we definitely gonna keep an eye on this case, man. And but I just think in California they still will prosecute him.
I bet you this man is in his living room right now, smoking a cigarette, watching himself on TV, saying, "I ain't going nowhere."
Shit.
And he's just chilling.
Hey.
Here's a quote from his mom. "I don't hate him," referring to the shooter. We don't know who he is. He's unidentified. "I don't hate him. I can't hate him, but I want to know why. Why didn't you just stop?" And I guess she's referring to the 9 shots.
Right.
I understand. Mom is gonna feel the way she's gonna feel. There's nothing you can say to her.
Yeah, but people also know their kids, man. She knew he was active. She knew he was what he was about. She probably prayed every night that he was watched over and something like this didn't happen to him. But at the end of the day, man, I think even some people, when it does, the pain ain't going nowhere. But the understanding that my son was active is still there.
Listen to this last quote by the mom. She says, "If you had to kill him, I can deal with that. I can come to grips with that. He did something wrong. I understand that. But for him to be shot 4 times in the back leaving, and when he falls down, he shoots him 4 more times, you abused him. He was dead already, and that hurt, and that hurts."
Well, check this out. I got a homie named Bandit from Cross Atlantic. Bandit was at the same gas station that Buntree got killed at. So Bandit had a situation where some dudes rolled up on him and jumped out on him. You know what I mean? Where you from? Bandit told him this Cross Atlantic. They pulled out the gun and blasted him. Bandit took the gun from him, wrestled on the ground, took the gun from him, shot dude in the head. Shot dude again in the head. And so they gave Bandit, I think Bandit got like 7-8 years for that. So Bandit says he was on parole, but Bandit say, hold on, this self-defense. The video shows they had the whole video from the same Shell gas station. Like I say, Buntree got killed. That's why they closed that Shell gas station actually too. Too many people was getting killed right there. So Bandit like, hold on, man, this dude shot me. We wrestled for this self-defense. They said if you would have shot him once, it would have been self-defense. But when you shot him the second time, it was overkill. And they gave him like 8 years for that, man.
Man, that's crazy. Is he home now?
Yeah, matter of fact, Bandit then went back, became home. He just got back. Bandit active still. Just talked to him today. He's trying to get a job and things of that nature. But yeah, that happened to him because of this overkill. So just what you said, my whole point is just what you said. That's what the prosecutors will come with the same thing. You didn't just kill him, you overkilled him. And it is a difference, Alex. It do play a small, I can't say how much of a role, but sometimes that overkill do play a role.
Yeah, but I don't understand how that can become part of the legal process. If the man is dead, he's dead. If I shot him 4 times, he's dead. 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. Does it really matter?
I agree with you. I agree with you.
So why does that come into the legal process now? Oh, if you would have just shot him 4 times, we wouldn't charge you. But you shot him 8 times, you're going to prison.
No doubt.
He's dead regardless.
Yeah.
So why punish me?
Yeah, you got a point.
And even your boy shouldn't have did a day in prison for that.
Shouldn't have.
It was their gun, right?
Yeah, it was their gun. And I'm thinking in this sometimes where you can't afford that high power attorney. You know what I mean? You don't have certain elements that go in there and fight for you. You working with the public defender's office. Not saying that they can't do a great job, but at the same time, if that real attorney, sometimes plays a part. They might have could have got that, but he took the 8. They forced it down his throat actually, but he had to ride with it, bro, and he went and did it.
Well, if he would have did that in Texas, they probably wouldn't even trip.
No doubt. That's what, I say California, a different beast than Texas.
And also, people don't understand, especially these prosecutors, these judges, they don't understand when you're in a gunfight, you're not sitting there counting bullets.
No, damn show late.
You're not sitting. You're not figuring out, is he still alive or is he dead yet?
No doubt.
Can I still shoot now or do I got to stop?
No, you definitely not.
None of this is normal.
No doubt.
But they expect that in a court of law in order to not go to prison.
They do because, some of them, and the police know this. you know, but someone say, like you say, the DAs or prosecutors, you know, they come from behind the books. They come from behind the court bench. They come from behind the, you know, so they not out there in the field understanding how before you know it, the clip was empty, or before you know it, your revolver, your fucking clip was empty. You didn't have no more bullets. You didn't realize you shot how many times, you know, so you're absolutely 100% on that one.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. Well, I don't think this guy in Texas is going to get charged, but we're going to tap back in with you guys to let you know if it does happen. I'm sure by now they have him identified, and we might have his name next week. That's unfortunate, man. Rest in peace to Eric Eugene Washington, but you was active out there, and even the mom's quote even kind of said, yeah, he was doing stuff wrong. Mm-hmm. So she understood to a certain degree. Yeah. She's just upset that he got shot 9 times rather than just 2 or 3 times.
No doubt.
All right, man. Where can people tap in with you at?
Man, tap in with me on YouTube at FG Unleashed, man. Tap in with me on Instagram and FGeneral1, and y'all come holler at me.
Yeah, man, they just took my Instagram again after I just got it back. I just got the Street TV Instagram page back, and then like 2 days later, I get another message saying that your account has been disabled, and I barely did anything. So
yeah, that's crazy.
I think Instagram has a glitch, but you know, you could tap into the Streets and Scholars Instagram page, street.and.scholars. You can find me at Alex Alonso101, mostly on Instagram and Twitter. Hopefully I'll have that Street TV Instagram page back. And make sure you leave us a rating and review if you're listening to us on an Apple Podcast. And if you're listening to us on another podcast platform, Spotify, iHeart, Google, make sure you're following us. And thanks for tapping in with another episode of Streets and Scholars.